All right, let's talk about something every writer hears, right? That you have to be a reader. But what does that actually mean? Today, we're going to dig into that essential and yeah, sometimes complicated relationship between reading and writing.
The novelist John Irving just nails it with this quote. For a writer, reading isn't just some pleasant hobby. It's part of the job description. It's like a chef has to taste food, or a musician has to listen to music. It's fundamental, an absolute must.
And let's get real for a second. This is a huge struggle for a lot of people. You might have all these incredible stories bouncing around in your head. You love putting words together, but sitting down with a book, it feels like a total chore. If that's you, trust me, you are so not alone.
So let's talk about this so-called secret obligation. Why is reading such a non-negotiable part of the deal for anyone who wants to write? Let's break down what that really means.
You know, the interesting thing about Irving's quote is that it kind of has a double meaning. On one hand, yeah, writers read to learn, to see how other people do it, to take apart the engine of a story. But on the other hand, for a lot of writers, it's just this deep, unstoppable need, a hunger for stories and words.
So if you're feeling that disconnect, you love the writing part but not the reading part, it's not some personal failure, I promise. There are usually some very specific reasons behind it. Let's see if we can figure out what might be holding you back.
Think of this as a quick little self-diagnosis. As we go through these next couple of profiles, just ask yourself if any of them ring a bell, because figuring out the why is always the first step.
Oof, does this one hit home? For so many of us, reading was tied to homework, to essays, to getting a good grade. When that's your whole experience, no wonder all the joy gets squeezed right out of it. You never really got the chance to just find what you actually like.
This is a big one. Maybe you're actually reading all the time, but you've got this little voice in your head telling you it doesn't count. You tear through comics, you scroll fascinating blogs for hours, you read movie scripts. Guess what? It all counts. That is 100% reading, and it all feeds your writer's brain.
And then there's this type. You are just drawn to the act of creation, of getting your own story out. It's all about the output. And sometimes, consuming somebody else's work can feel like a distraction from your own ideas. It's a really common feeling, but it can definitely slow your growth.
And, sometimes the problem has nothing to do with your attitude. Our brains are literally being rewired by our phones and all the constant pings. For some folks, things like dyslexia or ADHD can make reading really tough. Or it could be as simple as eye strain that makes you associate books with a headache instead of an escape.
Okay, so we've identified some of the culprits. Now for the good news. Reading isn't some magical talent you're either born with or you're not. It's a muscle. And just like any other muscle, you can train it, you can make it stronger, and you can make it work for you.
And this is so key. Your love of writing is all the proof you need that you already have a passion for words and for story. The raw materials are there. Now we just need a simple, no-pressure plan to build that reading habit.
And here it is. Here's the plan. We're going to break it down into 4 super simple, totally doable steps. No intimidating lists, no pressure, just 4 ways you can start flexing that reading muscle like today.
First things first, make time. Now, this doesn't mean you have to find a 3-hour chunk of your day. I mean, who has that? It's about using those little pockets of time. Waiting in line for coffee, your commute, those 10 minutes before class starts. Always have a book with you. A few pages here and there really add up, and it trains your brain to focus.
Okay, this might be the most important rule of all. Read for pure pleasure. Forget what you think you should be reading to look smart. Just go find what you actually genuinely enjoy. If it's cheesy romance novels, awesome. If it's epic sci-fi, great. Reading for joy is how you build the habit. The serious stuff can come later, or never. It's all about enjoyment.
And let's just settle this debate once and for all. Do audiobooks count? Yes, 1,000% yes. Listening to stories is literally our oldest literary tradition. It's just a high-tech version of telling stories around a campfire. It is absolutely not cheating. It's a different and very smart way to read.
Next up, read to write. Try this little trick. Before you start writing for the day, read for just 15 minutes. It's like a warm-up for your brain. You start to absorb the rhythm and the vocabulary of the author, and it gets your own creative juices flowing. It's just like an athlete watching game tape before they hit the field.
And finally, don't go it alone. Make reading social. Join a book club, or even just make a pact with a friend to read the same book. It adds a layer of accountability. Having a deadline and knowing you're going to get to talk about or even complain about the book is a huge motivator.
So once you start building this habit,
something really amazing starts to happen. Reading changes from being this thing you have to do into your greatest tool. It becomes your writing superpower.
This is the big shift. You start reading on two levels at once. Of course, you're still enjoying the story, but part of your brain is also looking under the hood. You start asking questions like, whoa, how did they build that suspense? Or why does that one sentence hit so hard? You become a detective, hunting for clues you can use yourself.
And it all leads to this one, totally inescapable conclusion. It connects these two things so deeply that you can't see them as separate anymore. Reading is writing.
Just from the other side of the coin, they're inseparable. Every book you read is a masterclass. Every page is a lesson. To get better at writing, you have to engage with it as a reader. They just feed each other in this awesome, powerful loop.
So I'll leave you with this question. Don't overthink it. Don't worry about finding the perfect book. Just based on what brings you joy, what makes you curious. What's the first book you're going to pick up to start building that superpower?